this week's episode of Overcoming. I'm your host, Chuck Herrick. One of the things that makes human unique is our ability, and as far as we know, we're the only animal that does this, is we have the ability to choose our response. And in this power lies one of the greatest gifts or abilities we as humans have. I mean, just think about that power. If somebody comes up to you and says, "Good morning," only you get to determine how you're going to respond to that. You can smile and say good morning back. You could mean it emphatically. Or you could do what most of us do and just give that cursory good morning. Or you can go into some joke. I have a friend I used to work with who would say, "Don't tell me what kind of day to do." And he did it as a joke. Everybody knew it, but it would make people laugh and smile. It was his way of doing it. Or we all have that other person that we see, what's so good about it? We all get that ability to choose what we really want to do and how we want to interact and feel. This is something unique to us as humans. And the great thing about it is only you get to choose that. Only you get to choose what you will put out into the world, how you will react to that. I remember when I was in school, I would hear stories of POWs and how they survived that trauma, which was incredible what they went through. But some of them said they got to choose how they responded. As some who came out mentally stronger said, I realized I was the one who was free because sitting here in my prison cell, I could just meditate and relax or find some way to go inside and find a way to be free mentally. Yes, physically they were not free, and they realized that, and they acknowledged it. But they said, in ways, they were freer than their captors because they just sat there and they got to be mentally free. They got to choose how they wanted to react to what was going on around them. Dr. Covey is a person who I studied a lot, and he used to say that humans have the response ability, the ability to choose our response. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. Regardless of what's going on in your life, only you and you alone have the power to choose how you'll respond to anything that happens to you. If somebody cuts you off in traffic, you get to respond how you will do it. Will you get angry, or will you just say, maybe they were in a hurry, they didn't see me? You are the only one who gets to choose that. And this goes into what we tell ourselves about ourselves and others every day. When we go around in the world and interact, and the responses that we choose, how do we let that affect us? Do we really choose the response, or do we let a response choose us? Do we go on our autopilot program and all of a sudden just start to react without truly thinking about it? Well, if you start to slow down and think, what's going on here? Why am I acting this way? And then you can start to change your behavior, the way that you do things. You can get out of this autopilot and start to have a conscious choice. Start to consciously live your life and choose how you want to interact in your life. Just because somebody comes up to you with something negative or some way to try to hurt you doesn't mean you have to respond in kind. You can really choose how you want to react to that person. No, it's not going to be easy. Many times it's going to be hard. But as you start to work on this and you start to choose what you want to do, how you want to react to people, how you want to react to situations, you will find that you get to do that. It becomes much easier, and you will get to do and live the life as you want to. And with everything going on right now, wouldn't that be so great to be able to truly choose how you want to live in this life, instead of just drifting or having other things choose for you? We see so much going on, and I feel a lot of what's happening today is people are just looking for something to be triggered. They're looking, and they want to look at what other people say and parse it. They don't want to understand what they're saying. They just hear a word, and they want to be triggered, and all of a sudden respond with all this negative emotion. There was a story of an officer in Cincinnati, Ohio, in August that I find very interesting and illuminating. So it was a white officer, and he was called to go to this black barbershop because what he was told is there was a car blocking an intersection. Well, as he gets to the barbershop, he saw one of the people from the barbershop came out, and they saw the officer. They said, "What can I help you with?" He goes, "I was told there was a car blocking the intersection, but obviously I don't see a car blocking the intersection." And the gentleman who walked out of the barbershop sort of knew what was going on. Somebody called in. They saw a bunch of black people there, and they said, "We're going to get a cop to go out there and look at it because it makes me afraid." And the cop realized what was happening. They both did in that moment. And he goes, and the cop just said, "Okay, this is what's going on." He goes, "But, he just was asked a question, what are you doing here?" And the gentleman from the barbershop said, "Well, we're doing a new thing called Men of Courage, where we all get together in barbershops from time to time, and we share our stories and we start to interact." He goes, "Oh, that's good. I'm glad you're doing that." The gentleman asked him if the cop wanted to come inside, and he said, "No, that's your place. I don't want people to feel afraid or create a change in the environment with me coming in. It's bad enough that somebody called for something that wasn't here. I don't want to have to go in and they know what happened too." And he said, "Okay." And, they kept talking a little more. And at one point, the gentleman who came out said, "Well, we've got Jerome Bettis inside." The cop was taken aback. He goes, "You mean the bus? That was my dad's favorite player." And all of a sudden, this cop lit up. And Jerome Bettis, they got him to come out. There's a picture of him with the cop. And it was just, it's amazing. If we get to choose, or we have the right to choose our response, and we engage in that. That cop could have been a jerk. He could have done the simple, I got to go in and check it out. He could have gone into that programming. And likewise, the guy from the barbershop could have gone into the programming. Okay, I had another white person to not letting us get together. But they both realized they had the ability to choose how they wanted to interact in that situation. And in doing so, they created a better and stronger community. They both realized what was going on. Neither one of them did anything wrong. The cop was responding as he was supposed to. Somebody called something in. He had to go look at it. Realized what was going on once he got there, and he just decided to shut it down. That was he did what I think was a great response in what should happen. And the gentleman from the barbershop just said, "Hey, you had a job to do. You came out and did it. You saw that it was nothing there, and you were done." And they both maybe will even become friends as they go forward. This is something that we can do. As you're going through and you're looking at things, realize how you want to live your life. Do you want to be triggered by everything? Do you want to always be upset? Well, if you don't, and I don't think any of us do, we'd rather go through life being happy and full of love. So start to get down and realize, why am I choosing this response? What am I protecting in myself? Why do I have this response? And what can I do to go about changing that response? How can I really start to be the person I want to be and choose what I'm doing? I think an easy way to do this, and this is going back to what Dr. Covey said when he was talking about our ability to choose our response, is you need to first seek to understand the other person. You see, when that cop came up to the barbershop, the person who came out realized that cop was just doing his job. And he approached him as such, not to be mean. He just said he's doing his job. He asked a question. He answered the question. "No, you're right. There is no car here." "What are you doing?" "Oh, we're just having a meeting inside. You care to come in? You're part of this community. Why don't you come in?" And they both had that ability. They understood what the other was coming from. The gentleman from the barbershop realized the cop was just trying to do his job. And the officer understood this guy wasn't doing anything wrong. And somebody who, for some reason, called in on that. And he realized this isn't right. Somebody else feels something for some reason, but it's just not right. I'm going to choose to de-escalate this situation and treat him as a person, to see him as a human being. And I understand he's not doing anything wrong. He has every right to be here and get together with his friends in his community, just like any church group or any group that goes outside. The officer realized that and treated it as such. People just getting together. Nothing wrong with that. And to have a good time and seek faith, strength, and community in one another. And the person from the barbershop realized the officer was just doing his job. And in seeking to understand the other side, before they responded, they got to choose the response that they wanted to put out into the world. And it became a much, much better situation, especially in these trying times. So please, as you're going forward, try first to understand what somebody's saying. Maybe they're just having a bad day, and what they need from you is a word of encouragement, something to keep them going. Or maybe they're just sort of grumpy, and there are some people like that, and you just have to go, that's just them. I'm not going to escalate it. Let them do their thing. I'm not going to let it affect me. I'm going to choose how I respond. And as you begin to do that, as you start to see that, you live a much better, a much freer, and a much fuller life where you really get to choose your response. I hope this helps, and as you go forward, you can really start to work on that. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you later.